to this society that was more information. Uh, this is the part two to what I was talking about yesterday about philosophy. Right now, right, when you speak on philosophy like I was speaking on yesterday and how it works with philosophy, right, you understand in life in all different shapes and different forms. Right? Everybody is entitled to their opinion and everybody is responsible for their own lifestyle. Everybody is entitled to their own thoughts. The problem we have today in modern day society is that everybody try to force their thoughts onto others to try to make it like their thoughts are the truth. And that's the problem with people. Everybody is entitled to what they think, but no one can say that they information is more higher than somebody else's information, right? Because once you put out that narrative, you basically saying that you the only motherfucker that knows something, and you're not the only person that knows something. Everybody has their own information, like I talked about in my last video yesterday. Everybody have their own information. No one is higher above anybody, right? But you have people that think that way, right? So that's why when you have in the YouTube world, you have the spiritual community or people that claim to be spiritual. Not all of them, but you got some that put out narratives surrounding certain things that are considered spiritual. And they'll try to make it like that information that they putting out is that's the shit. That's the truth. But that's coming from their own mind. The way you think is probably not the same way I think. We two different minds. That don't mean that what I'm saying, or that does not mean that what you are saying is not accurate. But I'm just saying your information is different from my information. We had two different perceptions of reality. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. We ain't all supposed to think the same. Because if we all thought the same, nothing would get done. It won't be things to fix or go over because we all thinking the same way. Right? And that be the problem with certain people. A lot of people want everybody to think the same. We don't need to be thinking the same. We have to have our own thoughts. We have to have our own mindsets. We have to have our own perceptions of things. That's what we have to have. We don't all need to think the same way. We don't. I don't think like other intellects think. They don't think like I think. We may have a little bit of similarities to each other, but we don't think all the same. We don't. And that's how it's supposed to be. That's okay. Right, so when you understand the philosophy, you understand that you have your own set of rules. You have your own set of degrees of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. Everybody's shit ain't supposed to be the same. This is what it is. And when you talking about, when you speaking on the science of philosophy, right? See, this is why they say that they want you to get a degree, have a degree in philosophy. The reason why they want you to have a degree in philosophy is because they want you to think as opposed to how other philosophers thought. That's not correct. Those philosophers thought the way they thought. You ain't supposed to think the way that those philosophers thought. You supposed to have your own mind, right? Because when you really get into the nicks and crannies of philosophy, most motherfuckers gonna probably think you crazy by the shit that you saying because they never heard it before, right? But by them never hearing it before, they think it's not accurate, it's not the truth. But until they can test what you saying and have information and proof to determine whether if you speaking is bullshit, then it's just what it is. It's just some shit that's coming from your own mind, your own critical thoughts, right? So, and it's real simple, tell you, right? So they want you to get a degree of philosophy so that you can think as opposed to what the other philosophers thought. No, you don't need to think like them. And half of them motherfuckers wasn't even real people. They just made up characters. So the shit they was saying, most of that shit they stole from us. Some of the shit they was saying, they probably stole that from Tahuti. Right? And then written it in they bullshit ass books and made it like that came from them. Nah, y'all stole that from our people. Right? So, you don't need to think like them. You need to think for your own self. You have to be critical in your own mind. Everybody want to be politically correct. Everybody want to say what's deemed as right. But don't nobody want to say things that's outside of the box. That's what I talked about yesterday. You got to think outside of the box. Never think like other people. Always think outside of the box. I don't think like other people. I don't want to. Because a lot of people say dumb shit and they don't even realize it. I done heard a lot of stupid shit from people. But they tell themselves that the shit they saying is right, so they don't know. But it's some dumb shit. Right? So, you have to learn to think for yourself. Think from your own critical thinking. You have to test your own mind. Test your own beliefs. Test them. If you're a Christian, test your Christianity. If you're a Buddhist, test your Buddhism. Right? Whatever you into and what you have believed in for a long period of your life, you have to question it. Question what it is. Question the origin of it. A lot of us agree to things. A lot of us believe in things that we don't know the origin of. Like you go ask an average person, what do you believe about Jesus? Or what do you think of Jesus? Well, I believe that he died for our sins. I believe that God gave his only son. The normal shit. But if you ask them, what do you believe though about Jesus? What do you believe personally? What is your own belief? What you mean? What is your own belief? I'm not talking about the Bible. What is your own belief of Jesus? What do you think he is? What do you think? They ain't gonna give you no answer because they don't know. All they know is what they done read and them watching movies and shit, the Passion of Christ and all that shit. But as far as their own understanding or their own perception, they don't have it. And most people are too scared to question the social norms. They're scared. And the reason why most people are scared to question the social norms is because they gonna have to relearn some new shit. And we live in a society of lazy people. A lot of people don't want to learn nothing. They're lazy. A lot of people don't want to read. They don't want to sit down and read a book because they lazy. They rather go sleep or eat some shit or watch some TV. They don't want to sit and read nothing. So this is why people tend to just allow whatever they have learned or what was told to them in the past to just be a part of them. They don't question it because they don't want to read no shit. They don't want to read nothing. Right? But when you start reading and you start understanding the words and what the words is really telling you, you're going to be like, wait a minute. So that's what, wait a minute. So I've been believing this shit this whole time and this shit ain't even, damn, I ain't even know. That's what you're going to get. That's the information that you're going to accumulate by reading shit and then learning what you read. But a lot of our people don't want to do that. So we just, oh yeah, thank you, Jesus. But you don't even know who you thinking. Who are you thinking? Who Jesus? You don't even know that Jesus is mimicking a woman. Try to give him the robe or the veil, whatever you want to call it. That's the woman. Mary was Isis. Jesus is Isis. So, you don't even know. And then, Jesus, the son of Mary, is technically Horus, which is the son of truth. In this case, if we speak in terms of God, God, Mary, and Jesus. God would be Osiris, right? Then Mary would be Isis, and then Jesus would be Horus, if we speaking in that term. But still, Horus, I mean not Horus, Jesus is Isis because of the way it's spelled, right? So, this is the things that you learn and you get into once you start reading shit. Like, wait a minute, that shit don't make sense. That don't make sense, right? But a lot of our people don't want to do the work. We don't want to learn no shit. We don't want to study, and that is what be the problem. That's the problem. We don't want to study. I study all day, every day. I love that shit. I live for studying. That's my shit. If studying was a person, that would be me. I love that shit. Because the more you study and the more you understand shit, the more knowledge you accumulate. Right? But a lot of people don't have enough patience to study because they want to know something right now. If I don't know it right now, I don't want to read that shit out. Right? We don't want to read it. But you need to read that shit. And learn what the fuck it is, and learn why the fuck these motherfuckers is telling you to believe in this white motherfucker wearing a robe with some long ass hair. You need to learn that. Right? If you understand the whole layout and the whole meaning of life from a philosophical standpoint, what is the meaning of life? What I said yesterday, I said to learn, to develop, and to grow as a person. That's the meaning of life. There's no other thing you're supposed to be doing but learning and growing and developing into a better person. Right? This is why I don't understand people that judge. What is judging? What is that? Because 99% of the time, judging is jealousy. Jealousy is judging. Because people are only going to judge people that they know that have something different in them that they don't have. So, oh, I don't like what she do, or I don't like what he do. Right? So that's where you start to judge. Right? But the only one that can judge is the highest of the highest, the matriarch, the queen of heaven and earth, the original women of this land. They the only ones that can judge. And they don't even judge you from a third dimensional standpoint. They judge you from, you could say, a fourth dimensional standpoint, from the heart. That's how they judge you. They judge you off of intention. Right? But in this day, we don't judge off of intention. We judge off of, oh, I don't like you, or I don't like what you do. So it's a jealousy. It's not you really judging the character. It's just you not liking them for no reason. So you judge them. Right? So you get people out here that may have done things in the past that was considered wrong, but then they change their life supposedly, so they feel there's a need for them to judge others that do bad things. It don't work like that. Because at the end of the day, just because they going through the things that you already went through don't mean that you better than them, because that still is on your record. Everything that you've done in your life and you continue to do every day is on your record. Like, you know how in the system, in the federal system, they say, yeah, you got a record of criminal activities that you've done. It's like that in the cosmos. You got a record. They call it the Akashic Records. So you going back into past times and the things that you have done on this land, what you was in your past life, what you came here to do, right? All that is connected right into your Akashic record. So everybody has something good that they have done. Everybody has something bad that they have done. That's all a part of your Akashic record. Sometimes in life, you may have to redo some shit that you didn't do correctly in this lifetime, right? Because then, once you redo something that you didn't do correctly in this lifetime, you may fix it for your next life, so you won't have to worry about that again, right? So that's why some people go through phases where they do something again what they did before, so they can correct it this time. So that's why you talk about reincarnation, coming back into this lifetime. You may have to fix something here that you was not able to fix in your last lifetime. That's just how it works. Right? So these is the things that you understand when you speaking on philosophy. Right? The science of philosophy. Right? You have to know and understand what you are as a whole. Understand the science of yourself. What's a good, what's a bad, what's a bad, what's a good. Right? Like right here, as you can see that this is some of my work that I put out. Right? So you got some zodiacs on there, then you got some planets. Right? And then you got certain degrees of information that I have on there. As far as above, so below. So, as above, so below, you can be dealing with air, fire, water, earth. What you are doing is studying the degrees, understanding the power of the degrees. Right? This is what you're looking at when you're looking at the Cancer, the 6 and 9. Right, you got one part going up, and then you got the other part going down. This is as above, so below. You studying the degrees, right, of who you are. Right, turning darkness into light. In order to discover your light, you have to discover the darkness. Right. What is the darkness though? The darkness is the demon in you, or if you take the D away, you got the Iman or Iman, right? Which is going back to a man of faith and what they would talk about in the nation, right? But a demon ain't nothing but a god, right? So the demon in you is the darkness, right? The light in you is being able to allow that demon to become its own angel, right? To become its own being of light, right? But the demon is still connected to you. But you found a way to turn that demon into a light, right? So it's a light now. It ain't just a symbol of just darkness. Now it's light, right? That's why they show you the wings, right? When you looking at the symbol of Kundalini energy, you see those wings, but you notice the wings is white, right? At one period of time, those wings was black, but through the development of the Kundalini energy rising, going through every chakra energy, it became as pure as white, right? Because now you in your lightest form, you in your higher self. That's what that is. Right? But before then, you was in your darkness. Right? But the thing is, you have to balance your darkness, right? And then you have to balance your light so far enough to where it can become one and it can be in harmony with each other. Right? This is what you're talking about when you talk about the yin and the yang. It's the same shit. It's the same science. This is why when you're looking at algebra and you looking at shapes, squares, triangles, right, ovals, when you're looking at certain shapes and how they look, you notice when you put some of them together, one will be reflecting a higher view and another will be reflecting a lower view, right? That's darkness and that's light. As above, so below. You getting the difference in the degrees. Right? So this is why you have a 90-degree angle. This is why you have a 60-degree angle. Right? That's why you have different angles of degrees, because it's giving you a difference of the knowledge. That's what all that means. Right? So, this is what you learn and you understand when you speaking on the behalf of philosophy. Right? It's all about studying and learning who you are. Learning the science of what makes you who you are. This is what it is. Right? This is the information of philosophy. Right? Philosophy, like I say, it's an everlasting science. There's always gonna be more for you to know about yourself. Right? Like some people, like you notice how in the rap industry, you notice how a lot of rappers be doing certain things that look like it look retarded. Like, what the fuck is that nigga doing? That looks stupid. Right? You ever notice that? They are doing some shit that looks stupid. Some of them may be finding ways to learn themselves. They just don't know it yet. Right? Like I say, you shouldn't judge people. You can't get caught up in people doing things that's considered negative or bad. You can't get caught up in that, because everybody have to find their own way of learning who they are. Right? Some people don't like to smoke weed, but some people may have had a chance to smoke weed, but as they were smoking weed, they felt the malfunctions of it, the benefits of it, and they probably grow not to like it. Right? But you can't say you don't like something if you don't try it. So they had to be in a place to where they had to try it in order to know if they like it or not. Right? So it's the same as when you be seeing these rappers. They be doing certain shit, experimenting with different drugs. They experiment with these different drugs because they trying to figure out what they like or what they don't like. Right? But then they testing themselves to see what type of person they is. Right? As according to what they do with these certain drugs. Right? It's all goes into the play of philosophy and understanding yourself. You may get one that may smoke weed, they go like weed. You may have one that tries some mushrooms and they like mushrooms, right? So they finding themselves, and they experiencing different things to see what they like and what develops them and what has them in a proper state of mind. This is how it is in this path of life. You gotta find yourself. That's why you should never overreact to people and what they do. I probably wouldn't take it to social media so people can have their own opinion on what you should be doing in your life. But you can't overreact. Because everybody has to find their own way. Now, I ain't talking about doing crack and that shit. I ain't talking about that. But I'm talking about the other shit, the spiritual drugs, shit like that. Shit, because, even alcohol. Some people like to drink alcohol to test their mind and see what's going to happen. I've done it before. I did my own spiritual practice of drinking alcohol and seeing if my mind was still proper, if I was still producing information while being drunk. Right? I've done it before. All for a spiritual practice of figuring out more of who I am. This is the things you do. Right? Because the thing about it with people, a lot of people believe that in order to be spiritual, you have to be perfect. You have to be somebody, don't do nothing wrong, don't get mad and none of that shit. No. It's not like that. Being a spiritual person is, like I just said, having balance, understanding the dark in you and understanding your light. You may have to defend your family. You may have to defend your girlfriend, or you may have to defend your kids. You may have to do something that's considered negative or considered bad to others. You may have to do that because It's only the logical thing to do, especially as a man. You supposed to do what you gotta do. You gotta handle your business. You ain't supposed to be all happy and all that shit and letting shit slide. You know, when you supposed to be handling shit at hand. You supposed to, confront some shit. You supposed to pressure some shit. You ain't supposed to just let everything be the way it is. Fuck no, because that's cowardly. Right? But you got a lot of motherfuckers that think that being spiritual is just to let everything slide. And hell nah. Fuck letting shit slide. You gotta let shit be known the way it is. Because you may have to speak up for yourself. You may have to let motherfuckers know how you are. And how you coming as a person. Because they may get you misunderstood. Right? So, it ain't about being perfect. It's just about balancing yourself. That's all it's about. When you talk about the path of life and you talk about philosophy, it's what this all about. That's what it's all about. I'm not a good person. I'm just respectful. And sometimes in life, your respect can be misinterpreted as being a nice person. Oh, you just a good old boy. Nah, I'm just respectful. That respect and being a good person is two different things. A good person is going to let you walk all over them because they're a good person. A good person is going to try to make everybody else feel okay and feel comfortable because that's a good person. But a respectful person is knowing that, okay, I don't want nobody to treat me anyway that's disrespectful, so I ain't gonna treat them anyway that's disrespectful, because what you put out is what you want to get back. If I'm going around, walking around with my muscles all out, talking about nigga, get out of my way, or I'm gonna slap the shit out you, do some shit like that. Yeah. Huh? Oh.